Welcome to Medica Nova Wellness Studio. I'm Angelika Maria Koch with your educational videos about optimal health and the most innovative and holistic approach to your well-being. So today's theme of our Discovery series, Healthy Family and Soul Medicine, is about bedwetting in children and teenagers. I know this can be a very sort of embarrassing subject, but it doesn't have to be. In this video, I will share with you how you can meet this challenging situation with natural and effective therapeutic tools. To stay updated with more ongoing videos, I encourage you to subscribe to my channel, share and like it with your friends and family. And if you're interested to know more about my work, have a look at my website medicanova.net at the Online Academy, where you will find comprehensive home study online courses in first aid, homeopathy and quantum healing. And if you're interested in a personal health consultation either for yourself or your children, contact me at health@medicanova.net. So what's bedwetting? Well, bedwetting is a condition where a child, usually from 4 to 5 years onwards, cannot contain or hold the urine overnight as well as during the day. The causes can vary. There can be mental, emotional aspects from jealousy to anger outbursts, fear, the arrival of a new baby, maybe parents' discords, to more nervous conditions and something even more serious conditions like diabetes or cystitis, urinary infections or blockages. Medical treatment for bedwetting may include drugs to control the urinary output or the bladder capacity or the bladder muscle control. They can be effective, but also there can be side effects. And what we don't want here is to create a dependency of drugs in your children. So the natural approach here would be in bedwetting to assist more the psychological aspects first by nurturing your child, while assessing, what are the causes here? Is it based on the nervousness? Is it based maybe on parasites, intestinal parasites, or the kidney and bladder weakness? I also often suggest here, look at the diet, take away all the caffeinated and carbonated drinks before going to bed. So there are numerous factors, and here's a list of possible trigger points. Hereditary factors, yes, they play here a big part. So if there was a story in the past with past generations as well, that could be a trigger point. Difficulty waking up from sleep. Some children just sleep like logs and bears. They can't be woken up, so they don't have this experience that their bladder is full. Delayed development of the central nervous system affects the ability to even recognize a full bladder. On the contrary, there can be a small bladder. Some kids produce more urine at night if their antidiuretic hormonal levels are very low. If there's an infection involved, either in the bladder or the kidney, that could be a trigger. In boys, you often see a defect in the urethral valves or in the ureter with boys and girls. Sleep apnea in teenagers, I would say. Type 1 diabetes, yes, comes into play. Don't forget chronic constipation. If you have a full intestine and bowel, it presses onto the bladder. So make sure your child empties the bowels before going to bed. As I mentioned before, take away all the caffeinated drinks, the soda drinks and stimulating drinks before going to bed, as well as look at certain food allergies. Of course, if we have Down syndrome children or ADHD affected children or even developmental delays in children, that is another story, and it's not part of this video, but I want to mention it here as well. Most often it's a mental and emotional concern, and I will go now more into the specific in a minute, because it is really a story of a belief system which triggers the crying of urine during the night. But I want to say the potty training in itself can be also very, very stressful. So your young children, they don't do this intentional. It just happens, and just be a little bit careful and more, supportive in that, rather expecting from them always to perform and to get it right. Because that can then create another belief system that I'm not good enough, I can't meet my parents' expectation, and so on. Most of the time, the stress in children is based on new fears and insecurities. So the arrival of a new baby. Yes, because easily the child would say, oh my God, the baby gets more attention now, I'm not so loved. And he or she regresses into the baby stage, like it wants a bottle again, or wants even a diaper, or starts bedwetting. Going into a new school, it's often a stressful situation, or moving away from home into a new location. The famous sleeping away from home, or the sleepover, they're very excited. Oh my God, I'm going away from my parents and I stay the night with my friend, and then they're there and it feels unfamiliar. They miss their parents, the mom and the dad, and the bedwetting starts. Of course, losing a family member or the famous, divorce of parents is the main stress here with children. We also want to mention sexual abuse. So any child who is or feels rejected, who feels bullied, teased, or punished in any shape or form is very much a target for bedwetting. Parental alcoholism, yes, it plays a part here too, as well as the nightmares. The nightmares can be, imagine you sit on the toilet and pee, right? The dreams of urination, or the more frightful experience where you feel terror, or you want to scream and you can't scream, and you start to release the water out of the body. Now let's have a look at something very different. You maybe heard about the brain-bladder connection. The brain controls and regulates the bladder like many other organs in the body, or the whole system, as well as the cells in the tissue. Compromise or distortion of nerve messages between the brain and the bladder can result in a loss of bladder control. So the nerve impulses leave the brain. They travel down the spinal cord and then out between the spinal bones to serve the bladder. But many bedwetting children, or even teenagers, suffer from a nerve interference from the spinal bones in the lower back, where the nerves exit the spinal column. So the predictable result is bedwetting. It's a nerve impingement situation here. So simply put, if your child is exhibiting signs of nerve interference, it can also be connected with really severe headaches, I suggest to book a session with a chiropractor, because he or she will be able to locate and reduce the nerve interferences caused by the spinal vertebrae that here in this case are slightly misaligned, and they need sort of be put back into shape, which affect then the nearby nerves. Can be as simple as that, right? Nothing mental, emotional, but just a nerve impingement which needs correction. But let's have another look at the metaphysical meaning of bedwetting, which in my experience is often a strong aspect here. You understand the mind and the body are connected, and with bedwetting we have to understand that there is often an emotional and mental aspect which triggers the release of urine during the night. The reason behind bedwetting is often a systematic suppression of a child by an over-dominant parent or a teacher, anybody who resembles authority. It also mostly affects children who feel a mixture of fear and a rebellion, therefore, against authority. So during the day, these children are under severe pressure, either from school or the parents' expectations. And they feel overtaxed. they experience great stress. They don't talk about it, but they experience it internally regarding their parents' ambitions and expectations, and often end up quarreling with them or fighting with them about the method of education. During the day, these children cannot relax, and they also, cannot make their own claims. They cannot break free from the pressure they are being subjected to now. Their territory is invaded. That's their experience. So they feel rejected and oppressed because they're living sort of with imposed patterns of behavior, which is not their nature. They feel like, this is not me. I want to be who I am, right? Who I really like to be. So bedwetting may be the result of fear that the child feels towards his or her parents, and in this case especially towards the male figure, the father figure, or anybody who represents or steps into that role. It can be the teacher, can be the grandparent. They're very much afraid to upset that person and therefore obey their wishes, and they're also afraid of disappointment. And all this stress, this holding on inside, is then released during the night, because then the control mechanism isn't working anymore because it's all subconscious. Enuresis, which is the medical name for bedwetting, also can occur in girls if there's a conflict of separation linked to sexuality, a divorce of the parents, for example, and where the girl then starts missing the father, or she feels like dad no longer takes care of me, or I feel apart from my father. This may sound quite unusual to you, or you never even thought about this, but that's really the trigger points on a mental emotional level, that they feel they cannot meet these expectations. They try so hard, but they're not getting there. So really, as parents, I urge you and I encourage you to look within your own personality and see if there's something in you which you can find is actually aggravating your child's physical bodily functions. I know it's hard to take in as a parent, but I encourage you to do so. Here are some great first aid home remedies. If you choose herbal extracts, congratulations, because they carry properties of strengthening and tonifying the urinary system. I would always start, before you go into any other difficult measures, with an anti-parasitic treatment. And here I suggest Dr. John Christopher's Parasite formula. It's a must. You can get it at the health food store or online even. Parasites in children are very common, are paramount, and they have a direct link to bedwetting. Especially if you see dark circles under your eyes in your child. Child is irritable, or it takes the finger and bores in the nose a lot, or there's an itching bum going on. 1 dropperful every day for 10 days, and then have a break for 10 days and start again, maybe 3 rounds. In addition, I would add the homeopathic remedy Sina 30, 1 tablet weekly for 3 weeks. And just do that before you go into the next steps. If you want to continue with herbal extracts, I can recommend St. John's wort as the number 1 for calming down here the nervous system next to lemon balm. Don't forget my favorite marshmallow herbal extract. It soothes an irritated bladder. And of course we all know about cranberry juice, which helps even with adults, to calm down sort of urinary infections like cystitis. Some research says eating walnuts and raisins before going to bed will prevent the urinary flow. I'm not quite sure about that. I don't have experience with that, but I wanted to share that with you. Look at the diet. Bring in more magnesium, calcium, silica-rich diet. bring in more the veggies, take away this acid food before going to bed. Some say bananas. Eating a banana before going to bed will reduce the urge to urinate. For older children, I would say parsley and cinnamon bark. I know the taste is a little bit strange, so chewing on parsley or cinnamon bark, but it could be a great measure. My favorite is a tea concoction. It's an Ayurvedic measure and it helps beautifully. It's a combination of horsetail, barberry and oak bark. It really has a strong impact in the prevention of the flow of urine during sleeping. Avoid all the acid food, meat, chocolate, sweets, caffeinated drinks, as mentioned that before, any carbonated stuff. Just get it out of the way. And again, be a little bit more gentle with your potty training and your children. Don't create another belief system. I'm not good enough. I can't meet my parents' expectations. It's not worth it, right? It's just a potty training. So these are simple and affordable yet effective measures to help your children with bedwetting. Now, there's a message for you parents out there. If you feel this has gone too far, you've done everything, what I told you already, but it becomes a chronic situation, like it goes on for months and even years, then it's time to bring in homeopathic remedies. They work very well here. Again, in this video, I only will share with you remedies which you have access in your local health food store. If you want more in-depth consultation treatments, I would say contact me at health@medicanova.net or your personal healthcare provider. Homeopathic remedies are really effective because not only are they sort of gentle and safe and without side effects, but they act very fast. Today more and more parents are interested in homeopathy and really choose more this kind of medicine rather than going for the drugs right away. There is this sort of misunderstanding that if you take herbal products or homeopathic remedy, it may take some time to get into effect, and that's not the case. If you choose the most indicated remedy, the most matching frequency, you can see results very, very fast. On top of it, homeopathic remedies not only work on the physical ailment, but also on the totality of the child, and therefore the physiological and psychological aspects as well, which is amazing in one remedy. Next to it, there can be the prevention of unwanted sort of contractions of the bladder. Homeopathic remedies restore normal musculature of the bladder, as well as sort of heal the function of urethral sphincters control, which is especially happening often in boys. On top of it, it doesn't affect the endocrine system. So the anxiety attacks and the nervousness within the child can be really stabilized. I would say homeopathic remedies should be given to any child of any age, especially with bedwetting. The first remedy I have in mind is Equisetum 30. Now this remedy is very much indicated when you have done all the tricks and put all the tools out and nothing worked, and it becomes a habit, a habitual situation. The child just pees and doesn't even know why. Equisetum may be a good choice here. The peeing happens often in the first half of the sleep before midnight. There's quite a copious urine, lots of water comes out, and there's also a strong urge to pee. There can be even involuntary stools. It could be caused by dreams or nightmares even, but often the child doesn't remember anything, It's like they have no idea why it happened. It just did. And I would say Equisetum 30, start with that one tablet daily for 10 days, have a break for 10 days and then start again and see if that makes a difference. If that doesn't change it, then contact me at health@medicanova.net. The next remedy in line would be Argentum nitricum based on silver, 30 again. 30 is like a number behind the name which indicates the strengths, and that's usually you get in the health food store only 6 or 30. This remedy is very much indicated when your child exhibits nervousness or anxiety of anticipation. Let's say you go on vacation, or the highly anticipated trip to the theme park is coming up, or there's a performance at school, and the child the night before, starts to get very, very agitated. Oh my God, I'm nervous, will I fail, what's going to happen? And the bedwetting happens. So Argentum nitricum is very much indicated for children who display high nervousness. If your child fits the category which I just mentioned before, with the metaphysical aspects of feeling that he or she can't be themselves because of parental expectations, or feeling dominated, feeling it can't meet these expectations and ambitions of whoever feels or represents the father figure or the authority, Causticum 30 is a wonderful remedy. Often the bedwetting happens more during the winter season rather than the summer season here. Again, the urination happens here before midnight, often indicated for boys. Again, you have a strong domineering parent history where they hold on their urine. Also here you can see that the urinary sphincters are faulty. And they are just the rebels of the world, I would say. These are the kids who would like to better the world, and we need these strong children, but if it becomes a stress, then it's not so good. They feel very sensitive to injustice. They often say this is not fair, and they really fight with their parents about, as I said, the method of education. In girls, often I see CPO 30. Especially when the bedwetting happens again in the first half of the night, or even just they fall asleep and boom, there it is right away. The girls are very active, they love to dance, but they have sort of a weak kidney problem, weak bladder, and there can be even dribbling from laughing. Happens more with women, but with children too, there can be dreams of urination. Somehow they like to sleep with their socks on. It's kind of a funny thing with sepia. They can have irritability, they're very exhausted. But in girls I've seen it, if there's sort of a weakness with their kidneys, sepia 30 might be a good choice here. Lycopodium 30, I've talked about this remedy so many times in previous videos already. Again, it comes here very well to hand. Here, the personality is more that they have a strong lack of self-confidence. They feel almost shattered by the dominance of their parents. They compare themselves to siblings or other classmates a lot. Strong fear of failure, which they like to cover up, so they often play, oh, I know it all, or the smart ass on the outside, but inside very, very afraid to fail. Very self-conscious, easily embarrassed, and I said next to Argentum nitricum, also a wonderful remedy indicated for anxiety of anticipation, especially before an exam. They feel often punished by their own fears. So again, Lycopodium and Causticum is a good remedies when you see a history of domination from kind of authority figures coming in. There are other remedies, I just mentioned them. Creosotum 30 is a remedy where the bedwetting is mainly caused by dreaming of urination, literally sitting on the toilet and peeing, and it's not real. So if that's the only cause, think about creosote. Another small remedy comes to mind called borax, more in younger children. You can see a lot of yeast infections here in the mouth as well. Thrush, for example, but they have a lot of fear of downward motion. Even when the plane goes downward, that could be an indication. Now, if your child just triples a little bit, right? There's bedwetting, but it's only a little bit on the bedsheet or a little bit on the clothes. It's not a lot. Think about Rustox. It's very much indicated here for a constant dribbling of the urine due to a weak bladder. Rustox 30 again. And my last remedy will be sulfur. Sulfur is for the happy-go-lucky child. They love the sweets, they love the spices. They're very hot children. They sweat a lot in the night and they stick their feet out under the cover and they toss about. They're just restless, right? They're just, very curious children, but they can't calm down in the night. And again here, the bedwetting often happens in the first part of the sleep. Great remedy. Really, sulfur 30, 1 tablet for maybe a week or 10 days. If it fits that constitution, you might be surprised. The bedwetting will just go next to many other things of this child. I would like to finish this video with a nice combo, homeopathic combo as well, which you could add to the suggested remedies or herbal products on top of it or along with it. They're called homeopathic cell salts, or in Europe tissue salts. They're sort of mineral compound. They're soft tablets. They're usually 12 different kinds. And I would like to suggest that you go to the health food store and get 3 kinds. One is called Ferrum Phos. It's very much indicated for inflammation and exhaustion. The next one is Kali Phos and works to calm down the nervousness within the child. And the next one is Natrum Sulph or Sulphuricum, which is indicated to regulate the urinary system. So what you want to do, you're going to take 10 tablets of each bottle, put it in another bottle of 16 to 24 ounces of water, stir it and shake it, and give it to your child to drink during the day or your teenager. It's a wonderful combo to strengthen the urinary system in a natural way. The water will have no taste. In fact, it's more sweet than anything else. And I would suggest that to add that to the existing protocols. I think I gave you enough information today. Try it out. It certainly worked in my practice and I wholeheartedly can share with you. So to stay updated, subscribe to my channel, share and like it with your friends and family. Till next time, much love. Take care.